I'm going to attempt a 24-hour sewing challenge. That doesn't mean I'm not going to sleep. What I'm going to do is I am going to have a stopwatch on my phone that is going to count to 24 hours. And when I take a break to eat or sleep, I will pause the timer. However, I'm going to be sewing as quickly as I can. I've cut out 7 projects. We'll see if I can get to them all. So lightning round, what we're making. First, a fall Sandra skirt, which is one of my patterns. Second, Lacy Pants, another one of my patterns. Third, we're gonna do a brown gauzy snow top. That's a pattern by Jules Smith. Haven't made that one before. Fourth, we will be making a brown and floral corduroy ruby vest, also my pattern. Fifth, I am looking to make some olive bull denim lane pants, kind of like a classic fall pant. 4, 5, 6th, we will be making a Rue quilt coat. This is a pattern from Spaghetti Western, another pattern I haven't made before, but I'm very excited about. And this is from a quilt that I thrifted. And finally, if we get to it, I have another ruby vest cut out. This one is a green and shamrock ruby. I will talk more about them when I'm actually making each one, but I think it's a pretty good fall lineup. And with that, it is time to get started. When I designed this pattern, let's see, I launched it in April. It was very much like springtime heading into summer, but when I designed it, I had fall in mind. I feel like it was such a fall skirt because as you may know, I hate wearing pants in general, specifically hard pants. We'll talk more about that when I get to my lane pants, but I don't want to wear anything with buttons. I love an elastic waist. So in the fall, I love a skirt, and my fall uniform ideally is a long flowy skirt and like a sweater. That's what I want to wear all day, every day. And all of the skirts that I've made, specifically my Sandra skirts, are very spring and summer because that's when I launched the pattern, right? Anyway, so we're finally getting around to making a fall one. And the fabrics that I'm using, they are 2 different kind of ginghams because the skirt, if you're unfamiliar, has panels. It has 10 panels that go all the way around. In fact, I am wearing a Sandra skirt right now. Right now, I'm just wearing my white Sandra skirt. And so it's just a flowy, long skirt. It has 10 panels and they go outward toward the bottom. So it is an A-line shape, but there's not a lot of bulk around your waist because it cinches in here. Anyway, so this obviously is all one fabric. And I think most of the Sandras I have made have been all one fabric. But another intention of the design when I made it is to alternate the panels, whether you're gonna do 10 all different fabrics or alternate 2 fabrics, which is what I'm doing here. So I have these 2 ginghams. This one is actually a gauze, which with the construction might be sort of risky, we'll see. I got this one from Bolt. I will try to find it and link it, but I got it a while ago, so it might not be around anymore. And then this fabric is a seersucker cotton that I got from Fabric Godmother. Again, I'll see if I can find a link for it. Also, I did cut these on the bias. Normally the pattern pieces are cut along the grain, but you can see with the gingham, they're like crisscrossy. So I cut them on the bias, which is going to make them more flowy. I'm curious if it's gonna warp the seams crazily during construction because the bias has more stretch to it. But yeah, bias cut, Sandra skirt, alternating ginghams. I think it's gonna be really cute. I'm excited. I finished the 2 panels, the front and back, and I'm loving how it's looking. I think from far away, it kind of just looks blue and brown, which is perfect. I want it to just be sort of a neutral long skirt. I also opted to serge all of my seams instead of do French seams. The pattern calls for French seams, but personally, I don't care a lot about that, and my serger was quicker. We are clocking in at 2 hours and 32 minutes. So let me show you the reveal. I am very, very, very happy with it. It's giving like 90s vibes in the best way. It's exactly what I wanted, a very fall skirt. The only thing I might mention construction-wise, the bias, you know, because I cut all the pattern pieces on the bias instead of on the grain. It did make construction a little bit tricky. I was really careful when I was sewing these like vertical seams that I wasn't stretching the fabric. And then the waistband and the hem construction, which normally comes off like super duper clean, like the finishing methods for both of those I'm really proud of and happy with, like the way the pattern is written. But I think because they're cut on the bias, they look a smidge wonky, but overall, I still think they look cute. So project 1 accomplished. Now we need to talk about the next project, which is the Lacy Lane Pants. If you've been around for a while, you know that the Lane Pants pattern was my first pattern and the one that I sew the most often because I love elastic waistband pants. The pattern is endlessly hackable, so I've made a bazillion pairs, right? So how are we gonna make a lace pair of those? How will that end up looking? The reason that I first dreamt up a pair of lacy lanes was I went on a vacation this summer with my sister, who is very, very good at styling. I love her clothes. Her closet is amazing. She also has a YouTube channel if you wanna go watch her. And I went on a vacation with her and she brought these lacy pair of, basically they look like lane pants. They're just like a long elastic waistband, simple pair of pants. Loved them. They were so cute. She styled them in a really cute way. It's something that I never would have thought to seek out or make for myself or buy for myself, but I was totally inspired by her pair. And so I'm not totally sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but I'm hopeful. I also grabbed these inspo pictures to kind of give some vision. A lot of the inspo pictures I found had see-through legs. That's not really the vibe I'm going for. My sister's pants were fully lined. I thrifted a lacy tablecloth, which is what I have cut these pattern pieces from. Here's kind of a close-up of it. It's pretty cute. It was in pretty good condition. One thing that I was specifically looking for was a lacy tablecloth that was lightweight and flowy, because a lot of tablecloths like these at vintage stores are kind of crunchy, but this one's like super duper flowy. I'm going to take a second layer of fabric. This is a linen viscose blend, so it is also very flowy, and on its own is basically see-through. It would be a see-through pair of pants, but layered with the lace, I'm hoping it's not see-through. We're gonna see. This is the project I'm maybe the most curious to see how it turns out. I'm going to baste both layers of the pants together so that it acts as one layer of fabric. So let's baste these pieces together and we'll see how it goes. If you've ever wanted to line your lane pants, these are my tips for going about it. So all I've done is basted together the lining, which is this linen viscose fabric, and my main fabric, which for me is this like lacy fabric. The way that I chose to do it was by serging the two fabrics together. You can probably see it better from this side. So you can see I've gone over the edge with my serger. If you have a serger, you can baste your fabrics together that way, or you can just use a basting stitch on your regular sewing machine. This edge is not gonna show in any of the finished garment, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just sticking these two fabrics together, so now they function as a regular pattern piece, and from here on out, all the construction is going to be the same as the pattern. A couple tips I would have is to keep your lining fabric very lightweight, especially if your main fabric is not super lightweight like mine is, because mine is lace. And then also try to pick a lining fabric that is similar in drape as your main fabric. So because my main fabric is quite like loosey-goosey flowy, I also wanted my lining fabric to kind of be flowy. Otherwise, they wouldn't act well together as like one layer of fabric. Okay, so those are general tips, but I also wanted to show you a couple things that I've done for this pair of pants in particular. So the bottom of the pants at the hem, I wanted to keep the original hem of the tablecloth as the hem of the pants. But then for the lining, what I did is I cut it maybe like an inch shorter and then I hemmed it folded it up a couple times so that the end result is it's 2 inches shorter. I have another little on the fly tweak that I'm making. I decided to make my pocket bags half like taupe, my skin color, or as close to my skin color as I could get, and then the other half is white, so that the part that's gonna peek out from the pants will be white, but this front piece of fabric is what's going to be showing immediately beneath this front layer, so that hopefully you won't see a like white square here from the pant leg where the pocket bag is once I'm wearing the pants. The square of fabric should be pretty close to my skin color, so it'll kind of blend in and you can't see the pockets. I just thought I'd hate to make the whole pants and then have the pocket bags be really noticeable and then not want to wear them because you can see the pockets really well. I don't really know if it's gonna work, but we'll see. So I did intend for the length to be cropped, okay? And when I cut the pattern pieces out, I thought that I accounted correctly for that. Right now it's like brushing the top of my shoe. My intention was to have them kind of come here, like a little bit higher. And obviously, once they're all sewn up and stuff, you would have a better idea of actually where they're falling, but I do think I'm getting some clues here that they are too long. I think what happened is that I accounted for the raw hem, which normally the lane pants have quite a thick hem. You lose about 3.5 inches from the hem just by hemming the pants. And so I accounted for that because I was keeping the raw hem, but I think I forgot to also then shorten the length. I don't think I did that. So I'm really mad at myself because at this point, my only options would be to cut a chunk out of the middle or lose the raw hem of the pants, because if I cut off the bottom, obviously I'll lose that. We are 4 hours and 40 minutes into the challenge. I'm just really mad at myself for not calculating that right. So I'm off to unpick. That was so much more work than I thought it would be. We're at 5 hours and 43 minutes, which is insane. I had decided to crop off 2.5 inches, and then I just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake across all 4 pant legs. So what we are left with is 4 inches shorter than they were. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Finished the pants last night. We got to 6 hours and 48 minutes into the challenge, which is honestly less than I thought I would get done on day 1, but that's fine. We're gonna do a longer day today, much longer. And of course, I have to show you the finished pants, which for all the headache that they ended up being, they did turn out very cute. I love them a lot. They're really exactly what I was hoping for. I have a pair of white lane pants that are in like a heavy cotton twill, and I wear them every other day, especially in the winter. And so that tells me that I really love a white pant. And I think that this will be a good additional pair to have that is quite different from a pair of twill pants, right? A lot of the styling inspo I found was with like baggy t-shirts, especially like white baggy t-shirts. I really like the look of that. How do you think the hem looks? Because I actually think they look totally fine. I think I was stressing so much about being able to see that seam at the bottom because I didn't want them to look like ruffly pantaloons, but I don't think they do. I think they're really cute. And I think that they fall at the exact right place, which I don't understand. I think between all the cutting and fixing and changing, I genuinely don't know how much I cropped these. We got there in the end. Everything lined up pretty well. And yeah, I am pleased. The next project is the snow top from Jules Smith. I've really been wanting a top or more tops that are really casual. I really just love throwing something like big and baggy on, whether it's a button-up shirt, a sweatshirt, a sweater, a big giant t-shirt, whatever. So I wanted something that was like a bit different, but still casual. So I think this top will do the trick. This is a brown gauze, I think. Any fabric that I have links for, I will link in the description, but there are gonna be many that I don't have links for, whether that's because I bought them a long time ago or they were thrifted or whatever. We're doing it with like this brown gauzy material that I'm really hoping is going to be soft and flowy-ish. So let's make a snow top. How does it look so far? I'm really liking it. I think it's cute. Honestly though, I feel like it gives Jedi maybe like 5%. I'm a little bit nervous about that. It's probably 5. So we need to add the sleeves. We need to hem it. And then that's pretty much it. I'm almost done. I've really been liking the pattern and the process. If you've watched my previous vlogs recently, you'll know that I've been kind of feeling overwhelmed by some of the other patterns because my background and the way I usually sew is like self-drafting, making things up. I was feeling sort of frustrated with other patterns that I've used, but this one is really just simple, straightforward, just like intuitive. You can kind of read through the instructions and get the gist of what you need to do and run with it. This is like my style of sewing and I'm having so much fun. All right, guys, we have another project that is complete. Our snow top is done and I love it. I feel like it's so cute. It accomplishes exactly what I was going for, which was to have like a boxy, baggy, loose-fitting top that is not a sweater or sweatshirt or something like that, something boring. So I made a size 10, which my bust measurement, which is like the main thing you look for when choosing your size, was between a size 6 and 8. And I decided to just really size up and make it nice and big and baggy, which honestly, I know that I could size down if I wanted to, but I'm really happy with the fit of it. Do you like how each thing I make, I just keep it on my body and go on to the next? But I mean, these are cute together, so I think it's fine. But yeah, I'll see how it wears. I'll see how it washes. The fabric choice, I think, was a really, really good one. It's so soft and cozy. It kind of feels like a light sweatshirt, to be honest. Let's see where we're at time-wise. We are at 9 hours and 19 minutes, which is honestly not bad. Between the 3 projects that I've made so far, I'm averaging a little over 3 hours, which if I stick to that, we will get through everything. I'm only pausing the time. I feel like I haven't really talked too much about when I'm pausing it. I'm pausing it for like eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, and like yesterday I had an appointment, but I don't really have anything else going on for the next couple days. So on to the next project. Oh, I'm actually so excited about this one. Okay, so we're gonna be making a ruby vest. This is one of my patterns. So I've made a few ruby vests in my life, but I don't really have the type of vest that I'm going for with this project, which is a very oversized, kind of more like workwear type of vibe instead of like the cutesy bow ruby vest that I've done in the past. I want to be able to wear it over sweaters and sweatshirts. And so the main fabric that I'm using is this brown crinkle cotton that I got a really long time ago, I think from Bolt, like years and years ago. That's the main side. And then the lining side is going to be this floral corduroy that's really, really pretty. I don't imagine that I will be wearing this side often. It's reversible, so you can wear either side, but I don't know, we'll see. I really like this fabric, but the brown is like the main vibe and intention. For the quilting, in the past I've done just like vertical lines for all my ruby vests, but I've seen some quilted vests that have like sort of wavy lines, and obviously there are some that are like uniform machine wavy lines, but I've also seen some that look a little bit more, not improvised necessarily, but like free-handed kind of. And I do like the look of that. So I may be attempting some like curvy wavy lines. Never done that before, it should be fun. Oh, and I'm also adding pockets, which is not something that's in the ruby vest pattern, but I'm just sort of gonna be improvising it. So it'll be like vest, pocket, it'll all be bound with bias tape. I think it's gonna be really cute. I'm freehanding the quilted lines, and I don't know, I'm trying to decide if they look random in like a cute, fun way, or if they just look stupid. Like I'm trying to make them not look like they're supposed to be uniform and I just messed up, but I want them to look intentionally unique and like free-handed, right? I don't know. If you do think that they look bad, actually, maybe don't tell me if I go through with it. I think what I'm gonna do is I have the pockets that I'm gonna make, and I was gonna quilt the pockets also. I think what I'll do is do like a little sample on there, both to see how the quilted lines look, but also see how difficult it is to actually sew the lines. Like I'm afraid of the shifting and such. I think there are sewing machine feet that let you kind of like freehand quilt stuff, but I don't have one, and I'm not gonna put this off until I get one. Okay, I actually think it turned out pretty good. I don't know. Again, if you do think it's bad, maybe don't tell me, because I think I'm gonna go ahead with it. My machine handled it really well. I'm using a walking foot for quilting, which is what I usually do. And I think with the walking foot combined with basting spray, which I sprayed on the layers of the fabric and the quilt batting, helps it just kind of all stick together. There was like no shifting. So I feel like it will be fine. It was kind of fun. I feel like it's very symbolic of this 24-hour sewing challenge where everything's sort of make it up as you go. No need to stress about perfectionism. My favorite type of sewing. It's what I've been doing this whole challenge so far, this whole 10, almost 10 and a half hours. I'm having the best time. While I am pinning the binding, I thought that I would answer a question or get in front of a question that I'm frequently asked, probably my most frequently asked question, which is, where are your kids? Or how do you sew so much with kids? My kids are older, they're 11 and 7, and so they're in school most of the day. Even when they get home from school, they just like hang out on their own, you know, they don't really need me during the day. So that's the short answer, is that I just have normal work hours and they're at school. I also have a husband who is a parenting partner. When I'm not available, he is. When he's not available, I am. We take turns. That's something that's always like sort of a question in my mind when people ask me about this. Like, obviously kids are a lot of work, especially younger kids, and I know that's like a whole different game. Like I used to be in that world too. But it does make me wonder when people say like, oh, I just have no time for my hobbies. Like totally get that, especially with younger kids. But I do wonder, like if you're not a single parent, I really hope that your spouse or partner, co-parent, whatever the situation is, takes turns, right? Because nobody ever asks my husband, like when he's at work, like this is my job, right? So nobody asks my husband when he's at work, oh, where are your kids? Like they just would assume that I have the kids, right? And it doesn't seem to go the other way. I'm frequently asked when I'm working, sewing, going on trips, things like that. But where are your kids? They're with my husband. And obviously, this extreme sewing challenge is a little bit of a different situation because I am working a ton more than I normally would. And in those situations, when I need to be doing something like having a more work intensive few days, then my husband steps up. And then there are times where he has more work intensive times where I step up and I'm on duty. And it just feels pretty normal to me, but maybe it's not, because truly it is a very, very, very frequent question that I get. When my kids were younger, when they were like babies, I also had a job that revolved around sewing and being creative and doing a lot of similar things that I do now. Although at the time my business was a made to order children's clothing business. So I still sewed a ton. And because it was my job, it really wasn't like, well, just when I had time, like it wasn't a hobby. So it wasn't something that I kind of had to like fit into the nooks and crannies of my day. And so I often had them, you know, working at my heels. When they were like babies, I'd strap them to me and work. My older daughter was always really independent. So in that way, I was very lucky that she, from a very, very early age, like before she could walk and talk, she would play in a room by herself and be very happy for a long time. My son was a little bit more needy. I still just made it work and it was hard. I also didn't sleep very much while they were sleeping was my big time to work, and it wasn't great. I don't like recommend it, but that is how I did it. It's not glamorous. Like if you're saying, how do you find time to sew when your kids are little? The way that I did it was to be extremely sleep deprived, and that's not something that I would like really recommend, but it's the truth. And then of course, now that my children are older, I think their self-sufficiency somewhat comes with age, but also I have very much raised them to be self-sufficient and independent. They know that I'm working. They know that I have my work hours, my office space. Of course, they can come in if they need something. They're welcome to talk to me, whatever, but they have been raised to respect my time. Obviously, for me, it may be different than for you because for me, it is work. And for many people, sewing is a hobby. So, the boundaries might be different. But yeah, I place an importance on my work and my creative time and my hobbies, and my husband does as well. And we respect each other's boundaries and I think operate as a pretty good team. I hope that covers all the bases. And also, how freaking cute is my vest looking? I'm so happy with that. I just tried on like the shell of it and it's looking so good. I'm pulling a late night, but I just finished the vest, so you get a pajama try on. I always forget how much I love this pattern. It's just such a fun, satisfying make. Okay, are you guys seeing the vision? Obviously, this is pajamas, but I literally made this because I wanted a vest to wear over like sweatshirts, almost to give kind of like Carhartt vibes a little bit, but with more of a me twist. And I feel like that's exactly how it turned out. I love this lines that we stitched, that they're like a little wonky and wavy. I love that we're using vintage buttons. The lining turned out super duper cute. The pockets turned out amazing. I love them so much. I feel like they're the perfect size and placement. Love this one. Okay, timing wise, we are at 14 hours and 53 minutes. We have about 9 hours left. I'm gonna see if I can get one more project done tonight. Next up in my list is a pair of Lacy Pants. And this is a bull denim. I mentioned before my pair of twill Lacy Pants. They're a 9-ounce twill pair. These ones right here that I literally wear every other day, especially in the winter and the fall. I have to stop myself from wearing them every day because they're my favorite pair of pants. The thing I really like about them is that they are a really sturdy bottom weight. They're not like flimsy. And I have a bunch of pairs of like linen and gingham Lacy Pants. And I love those too, especially for summer. But I really don't have enough thick bottom weight pants. And As you know, if you've been here for a long time, I don't do hard pants, I don't do buttons, I don't do zippers. I refuse. And the Lane pants do make a really good elastic pair of winter pants as well. I thought I'd show you a little alteration I made to the pocket bags, which is that I split the pattern piece in half and cut it with 2 different fabrics. Because this denim is pretty heavyweight, I didn't want the pocket bags to be too bulky. You can also make like a facing for the pocket. If you want to go to all that effort, I didn't really want to do that. So anyway, the front half of the pocket bag I just made out of this really, really lightweight cotton. So this will be attached to the pant leg. The corner here is gonna peek out of the pants. It'll be visible. That's why I didn't do the whole pocket bag with this. But anyway, that's one alteration that I might make if you're going to make a very heavyweight pair of Lane pants. We're on our final push. We have about 7 hours left of the challenge. I'm gonna finish up the pants. I have 2 other projects to go. I think I can get it done in the time, but I also wanted to give you a better look at the vest in daytime lighting. But it's so cute. I love it so much. Oh, and also these are the Lane pants that I keep talking about that I wear every day. Oh, and I made a size 12. I forgot to tell you. I usually do a size 8. I've done a couple size 10s, but this time I wanted it to be like really big. So this is a size 12, full length, high neck. There's a bunch of different versions in the pattern. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's make the pants. Pants are done. We are 18 hours and 49 minutes into the challenge, and let's take a look at the pants. They're exactly what I wanted. They're so freaking cute. So a couple mods that I made. Normally the hem is a 3-inch hem. It's like quite thick. And I decided to do a 1-inch hem because I wanted the ability to roll them. Let me show you what I mean. Yeah, like there might be circumstances in which I'd want to kind of cuff them. I don't know if you can get a good look at that, but basically I felt like it would look weird cuffed with the really giant hem. So now I have the option to do it either way. I did account for that when I cut the pants. Also, I considered maybe adding back pockets. There are no back pockets to the Lane pants pattern. I thought I might add some, and I decided that I'd maybe just make them and wait and see, but I do think I might want to add them. So I think what I'm gonna do, if we get to the last project and I don't quite have enough time in my estimations to finish a whole project, I may just come back to these and add pockets. I don't know exactly how long that would take because I've never done it before, but I feel very confident that I could figure it out. Last modification, I made the cargo pockets a little bit bigger than they normally are in the pattern. I wanted them to be like quite exaggerated, but I feel like they don't look that much bigger. I probably didn't really do it enough to really make a difference. So anyway, those are all the modifications. I'm excited to wash them. I feel like they need a bit of a lived in look. I might go throw them in the washing machine right now, actually. Should we talk about our next project? I kind of thought I wouldn't get to these last two. I'm sort of surprised that we've been cruising through this so fast. Okay, the last project that we are going to make is the Rue Quilt Coat from Spaghetti Western Sewing. I have some quilted jackets that I have made. I actually have 2 quilted jackets that I've made using actually the Ruby Vest pattern, and I just added sleeves to it. Self-drafted my own sleeves, that's not part of the pattern. And I do like those jackets. 2 things about them. First of all, this isn't meant to be a jacket. Like, it wasn't drafted to be a jacket. And the 2 that I've made that I both love and wear a lot are both kind of lighter colors. And so I feel like I needed a darker color quilted jacket. So we're making the quilt coat. I got this quilt at a vintage store in March. And originally I was kind of hoping to use the quilt just in my home as is. There was some damage to it, some kind of torn parts. I cut around the torn parts, but like there's torn parts and like damaged bits. Some of the threads and things are coming apart. This is like a really, really minor example, but there's a lot of things like that in the quilt. Anyway, it was a little bit falling apart, and also I don't have any beds that needed a quilt, and we had plenty of blankets. I had just kind of kept it in my linen closet, and I had not been using it since March. So I thought I would get so much more use out of it as a jacket. I'm finishing the collar by hand, and we have less than 6 minutes left. So obviously I'm not going to finish the collar in 6 minutes. I also still have the pockets left to put on this. But I have just had the best time ever with this challenge. It really has been so good for me to buckle down and sew like I used to sew. I've sort of just stopped making things for myself and making things for fun. It's very rare that I sew things when I'm not teaching something or designing something for other people. So going forward, my plan is to keep making things for myself, for fun, not putting projects off until I have a bunch of time for them, because you're just never going to feel like, oh yeah, I have 6 hours free on a Saturday to make something. I have nothing going on. Like, that just never happens, right? So I just need to start on things more often. I do believe we saved the best for last. This quilt coat is amazing. I'm so in love with it. Look at the back. Are you kidding? It's so perfect. I'm in love. I finished up the collar, buttons, and pockets last night. So I probably went maybe an hour over time to finish this, but I feel like we can still count it in the 24-hour challenge, right? We were just doing last minute details. Couple notes about this make. I'm not 100% in love with the placement of the front bodice pieces. I prioritized the star being on the back, which didn't leave me a ton of options of how to cut the front bodice pieces. I'm not like super mad about it, but it does bug me a little bit. I think it looks a little bit weird, but I think the sleeve placement was good. I think the pockets kind of break up this like really, really busy smushed section here. That might just be a little bit too picky though. But other than that, I really am so obsessed with this. I love the fact that the quilt is vintage, thrifted, reused. The buttons are vintage and reused. I really love these buttons. I got those in a shopping trip to Portland I did recently. And even the rickrack around the collar, which is like really little baby rickrack. It's just the tiniest little extra detail. That is thrifted as well, or from a vintage shop as well. So pretty much all of the materials, I guess the bias tape and fabric I used for the collar is not reused. That's new fabric. But other than that, I'm very, very, very happy. I'll also say about the pattern, it was pretty straightforward, but I don't know if I would say it's beginner friendly. Like if you are not a seasoned sewist, I might have you try a few other projects first before attempting this pattern. I don't think it like holds your hand a ton, but if you like sort of know what you're doing, then it's a breeze. All right, we have come to the end of our sewing challenge. I got through 6 projects in 24 hours, which personally I think is a really good number. The only one I did not get to was the green ruby vest that I was planning to make, but that's why I put it last, because I wasn't going to be upset at all if I didn't get to that, because obviously I already made one vest. But it's cut out and I hope to get to it soon. I think what I am the most proud about for this challenge though is just the fact that every single thing I made was very intentional and fills a gap in my closet.
I'm not just making random crap for the sake of it. I've really been thinking a lot, like when I get dressed in the morning, of like, what items do I wish I had? What things do I wish I had more of? And all of these were very thoughtfully chosen for those gaps in my closet. I've also been thinking a lot lately about kind of how my style has evolved. I think all of our styles evolve, right, over time. That's pretty normal and natural. And because I have taken such a long break where I have not been sewing for myself really for the past like year and a half, a lot of the clothes that I've made for myself are not like 100% me or my style in this moment. And certainly that doesn't mean that we should be completely overhauling our closets like every year. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that you kind of learn over time what are the things that really are going to be staples for you. What are you going to reach for a lot, wear a lot, and that evolves sometimes. And the things that I've really been wanting to make, I think have been leaning lately a little bit less cutie patootie, I say as I'm wearing a very cutesy quilted coat. But I've just been feeling a little more mountain troll witch lady. And I think that the things that I've made today sort of fit that bill instead of like cutesy fairy person, which I think in the past I've maybe leaned into that a little bit more. So anyway, I am very excited to hear what projects were your favorites. Each thing I made, I was like, oh, this is the best thing. Obviously my quilt coat is the most like exciting, fun thing, but I am really loving the basics that we've made as well. So you'll have to let me know which project today was your favorite and what things you would still love to see me make. Because now I've started the momentum and I'm hoping to keep sewing for myself, making things for fun, making more basics, things to fit my ever-evolving aesthetic. Love you guys, and thanks for sewing with me today.